we wouldn't have made that deal without essentially having that reputation. But they knew.
Well, you bought the Northern Natural Gas Company in one weekend, and they wanted the money on Monday.
They needed the money on Monday.
Before the lawyers could complete the legal papers. We managed to do it.
Well, not only that, but I think it took some clearance by in Washington, and essentially, I think I wrote a letter and said that if they decided after looking at it they didn't want to clear it, we'd undo the deal. But these guys needed the money so bad, we were going to give them the money, essentially based on the deal clearing, and there wasn't any reason why it wouldn't clear, but there was just a procedural problem. But most companies can't do that. I mean, we can. We've got a flexibility that really in most large companies just plain doesn't exist. There's too many people who have to sign off on it or something of the sort. So the Northern Natural deal would not have been made if we'd had to follow the normal timetable. But
and it's a lovely business to own.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're moving from one station to another between now and 3:30. So we now go to station 8.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Warren, Charlie. Good morning, or good afternoon, Warren, Charlie, John,
Hi.
Norwood from West Des Moines, Iowa. You guys have iron bladders.
We won't tell you the secret of that.
I was wondering about a contraption under the table there.
No. You can come down and inspect.
All right. Hey, I had a question for each. Warren, I was fortunate to ask you a question, I think in 2011, about legacy and what you wanted to be known for 100 years from now. And I'm kind of curious to hear what Charlie would like to be known for. And Warren, I'm 52, so I guess you started doing this when I was born. And I'm kind of interested in a memory from your first annual meeting.
My first memory when Warren got on this subject, and they asked him what he wanted said at his funeral. He said, "I want them to all be saying that's the oldest looking corpse I ever saw." and
that may be the smartest thing I ever said. No, well, with me, very simple. I mean, I really like teaching, so basically that I've been doing it formally, and you can say somewhat informally, all my life, and I certainly had the greatest teachers you can imagine. So if somebody thought that I did a decent job at teaching, I'd feel very good about that.
Yeah, to make the teaching endurable, it has to have a bit of wiseassery in it. And that we've both been able to supply.
And for those of you who are old-time basketball fans, I might mention that on Wilt Chamberlain's tomb it was reputed that it was going to say, "At last I sleep alone." Okay, station 9.
Good afternoon, Mr. Meng and Mr. Buffett. My name is Ji Wenyan, and I'm come from China. It's my first time to come to this meeting, and I think I'm very lucky to have a chance to ask questions.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you. And everyone has personal dreams, and at different ages, maybe dreams will come differently. And what's your dream now?
Charlie, we'll let you go.
I didn't quite hear that.
Well, what's your dream now? He says,
My dream. Well,
let's skip the first one.
sometime when I'm especially wishful, I think, oh, to be 90 again. And I got some advice for the young. If you've got anything you really want to do, Don't wait till you're 93.
No, do it. No, that's the same thing I would tell students is that you can't always find it the first time or the second time, but when you go out in the world, look for the job that you would take if you didn't need a job. I mean, don't postpone that sort of thing. Somebody, I think it was Kierkegaard, said that life must be evaluated backwards, but it must be lived forwards. And you want to sort of. Charlie says all he wants to know is where he'll die, so he'll never go there. And so you do want to do a certain amount of reverse engineering in life. I mean, that doesn't mean you can do everything that way, but you really want to think about what will make you feel good when you get older about your life, and you at least generally want to keep going in that direction. And you need some luck in life, and you got to accept some bad things that are going to happen as you go along. But life has been awfully good to me and Charlie, so we have no complaints.
What you don't want to be is like the man, and they held his funeral, and the minister said, now it's the time for somebody to say something nice about the deceased. And nobody came forward. He says, surely somebody can say something nice about the deceased. And nobody came forward. And finally one man came up and he said, his brother was worse.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move to station 10 and see if we can improve on it.
Hi, my name is Andy Li Junling from Royal Valley Innovation Capital from Shanghai. This is my 6th year from Shanghai to here. Innovation Capital from Shanghai. This is my 6th year from Shanghai to here. I have to say to you too, Warren and Charlie, you are highly respected and deeply loved by millions and millions or even billions globally. I have 2 questions today. First question, in your letters to shareholders, you said you believe EBITDA is not a good parameter to value a business. Why is that? Can you elaborate on that? Second question, you both have very successful and happy lives. With great respect, my question is to each of you. In retrospect, from a personal standpoint, do you have regrets in life? If there is one thing you would have done differently in your life, family, personal, or business, what is it? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't think you should expect us to answer that on personal, but if in business, I would say I wish I'd met Charlie earlier. We've had a lot of fun ever since I was 29 and he was 35, but it would have been even more fun if we'd started many years earlier. We had a chance to. We worked in the same grocery store, but not at the same time. In respect to EBITDA, depreciation is an expense, and it's the worst kind of an expense. We love to talk about float, and float is where we get the money first and we have the expense later. Depreciation is where you spend the money first, and then record the expense later. And it's reverse float, and it's not a good thing. And to have that enter into a multiple, it's much better to buy a business that has, everything else being equal, has no depreciation because it has essentially no investment in fixed assets and makes X, than it is to buy a company that where there's a lot of depreciation in getting to X. And I may write a little bit more on that next year, just because it's such a mass delusion. And of course, it's in the interest of Wall Street enormously to focus on something called EBITDA, because it results in higher borrowing power, higher valuations, and all of that sort of thing. So it's become very popular in the last 20 years. But it's a very misleading statistic, can be used in very pernicious ways. Charlie, on either one of those subjects?
I think you've understated the horrors of the subject and the disgusting nature of the people that brought that term into the valuation of business. It would be like a leasing broker of real estate you had 1,000 square foot new suite to be leased, and he says it's got 2,000 feet in it. That's not honorable behavior, and that's the way that term got into common usage. Nobody in his right mind would think that depreciation is not an expense.